I didn't suspect this was going to be a wildly populated meeting, although it should be. To take stock in planning, we've got next quarter coming up. Ideally, much of this planning has taken place already, but I would like to talk with you guys about what, if anything, you're doing to kind of take stock in what went on your previous quarter. Oh, I got the little thumbs up there. And what's going forward? What did you glean from that? What was learned? And what's going on next quarter in your efforts? I'll start just because nobody ever wants to start. Then I'm going to pick on Parker and then Jonathan and any of you who want to participate. Um, Historically, my first quarter has been garbage. It's just historically a historical look. Call it luck, call it the business patterns, which is probably a little bit of both. But my first quarter has been really bad, and this quarter did not disappoint. It was a pretty bad first quarter. However, my most recent first quarter comparison, 2024, was a phenomenal year. So if I go for the 9 years before that, the outlier really was last year. Well, guess what? This quarter, which is ending in a few days, really was not great for us at all. We got three closings coming uh, April 2nd to April 3rd. So we got, a bunch of the effort that we did is producing results, but this was a pretty bad first quarter. So what do I end up doing to myself? Oh man, you failed. It's not like last year. You screwed up. You stupid, old, fat, ugly loser. Those are the things that you end up going on in your head. You got this head trash that actually goes on. So one of the things that I think is great about taking stock in what you've done is that you can actually see where you've been. I could say that this year is lousy compared to a phenomenal first quarter of last year, but I could look at my history and take a little bit of comfort in knowing that this is a definable pattern and the years that went on beyond that really ended pretty well. So that's just one thought. Parker, can you unmute yourself a second? His real name's Paul, but his son was obviously using the iPhone here.
Morning.
Good morning. So, any of that resonate with you, or
A million percent. The last three first quarters for us are, they're like base hits. But, we have a bunch of things that just went into contract. We have a bunch of closings coming up in April. Um, we put a $3.25 million property in contract yesterday that took 8 months and three deals. And, I think everyone on this call knows that when you have a deal, then it blows up, then you have another deal, then it blows up, and it finally is done. You're like in the 13th round with Muhammad Ali, just putting your head, hands up against your face, making sure you don't get punched anymore. But I think it's just that the same thing that you said, Edmund, is like, yes, the year will get better, and I know it will. But you just got to keep pushing and stay focused and not looking in the mirror and saying, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm losing my hair, and my children can't stand me.
whoa, 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 the hair and children thing I never said.
I added that for me. I added that for me.
Yeah. Well,
But yet Parker lets you use his Zoom, so it can't be all bad.
Yes,
so
exactly.
so
I
there's
have to
that.
pay him, but yeah,
So
He learned well from his father.
yes.
so there's that, guys, and thank you, Eitan, for putting this up, and Daniel. We've got our every one of these meetings. We try to give you a workbook. It does take us a lot of time to put these things together, so if you would at least look at it, it would be appreciated. But even beyond that, it is a very helpful resource because again, if you don't track, you don't know. Here are the questions that I had for you. If you looked at the deals, or if you didn't have too many deals, if you look at the opportunities that came through just this quarter, what came in as past clients, referrals, sphere of influence, cold outreach, online leads, geographic farm, open houses, or other? That is on page 4 of the workbook, which my team was nice enough to put into the chat here. So I'd like you to really wrestle with this a little bit to figure out just where was the business coming from. The philosopher Santayama said, "For those who cannot remember the past, they are condemned to relive it." Condemned, it means as sure as the sun will rise. History always repeats itself, and it does so, gosh, in real estate, we see it over and over again. So I really would love for you guys to chime in and talk to me about where opportunity, whether closed or not, came from in the past quarter? Jonathan, can I pick on you? I know you weren't expecting me to pick. It's okay if I can't.
Absolutely.
Oh, before you start, tell everyone who you are and where you are.
So I'm Jonathan Migdal. I am based in the western suburbs.
Great.
Part of a team, work with my wife Jane, who Edmund and Paul know well, and glad to be back.
And we're glad to have you. So tell us about business.
So
Where
what you and Paul said is spot on in terms of our market as well. First quarter has been slower, has been relatively slow. We have a lot of buyers, not as many listings as we typically do. The buyers are having a very rough time. Inventory is severely limited. We're back in that situation where properties are going well over asking and well over their value. Contingencies are being waived, and it's been a rough time for our buyers. We expect things to get better as the year goes on, as it always does. But so what we're doing is basically just doubling down on all of our right behaviors. Reaching out to our farm, reaching out to our past clients, scheduling events, doing all the things that are going to ultimately lead to business. So rather than put your head in the sand and just hope that things are going to be better, we're just, as I said, just doubling down on our efforts to generate new business, knowing that it's going to all come as the year goes on.
Love it. Okay, very good. Good to have you back, Jonathan. Always a good controlled voice there. I've always liked having you. Lavette, I'm going to unmute, or you could unmute yourself. I'm going to lower your hand. Good morning, Lavette. Tell everyone who you are, where you are, and what are your thoughts?
Hello, everyone. My name is Lavette Bell. I'm here in Southampton Road, specifically Norfolk, Virginia, Virginia Beach area. Um, I've been an agent for 11 years now, and historically as well, my first quarter has also always been a dud. I'm killing it right now.
Well,
I
hold on,
really am.
but Lavette, let me stop you. Just remember
Okay.
that for 26,
Right,
I
right.
speak to you and you're crying against the pillow. Oh my God. Take the word from Paul and everyone else. Sometimes, again, get psyched about it. But I
Yeah,
don't want this to end up being a future depression just because 1 month is bad. It doesn't.
right.
But sorry, continue.
So, yeah, I'm having a great first quarter. I actually have 5 transactions under going this month. I actually just closed on 2, and I just nabbed my first $1 million listing.
Hey, okay.
You
So
know,
you do that. Hey, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to make money. Ha, ha.
no, well,
I don't
the
think you
thing
could
is, I
fool a guy like
never,
me.
I got really consistent with being on the dialer. I'm on it every morning at 8 o'clock. So I'm on it at 8 o'clock. I'll call in the afternoon. I call in the evening. I called on the weekends. And this past weekend, I called on Saturday and Sunday. And Sunday, can you believe it? This woman. Um, it was a $1.5 million listing. This man, supposedly top agent, let it expired, and she didn't had no idea. So he just did a lot of terrible things. He posted cell phone videos, I mean cell phone pictures on a $1 million listing, which
Terrible.
they were horrible.
Hmm.
So I spoke with her and got the listing. She was very impressed with me, and he called her, tried to threaten her to get the listing back, but she says no, he kind of just showed me who he was when he called me and, was making threats. But anyway, I'm excited about that. And yeah, I'm having a great
So,
first quarter.
so good. So guys, hear this out. She's in the Google Map, which Daniel, please put it up when you have a moment. But get to know Lavette. It's a very good reason behind that. She may not be, again, some of you have multi-million-dollar deals, and that's
Yeah.
great. She is the definition of true grit, that she's put her effort in, she stayed focused, she was able to stand in the rain while it was pouring on her, and she's now really reaping the benefit from all of that. That's exactly why I made this mastermind. I think it's great stuff. Whether you sell multi-million-dollar properties, $500,000 properties, get to know Lavette. She's a good person and she's a good person to know. So there, I said it. And if anyone
And
has a hard time getting access, Lavette, you gave us your contact.
yeah, and can I say one more thing? Thanks
Please.
to you, Ed, I did start charging 4%. And I recently went on a listing appointment where one guy was charging 2 and I was charging 4, and I stuck to it and they went with me. And I got them under contract. This was one of the ones I just closed. They were listed three other times prior to listing with me, and they never got contracts. And I listed their property and got a contract within the first 4 days.
Okay.
So,
Listen,
yeah, awesome.
there is no hard and fast rule about what we as realtors are going to get paid. Somebody somewhere at some time said, okay, it's 6%, then it was 5%, then it was 4%, then it was these whole things. Now it's got to be split, it's got to not be split. You got to remember one thing. The Realtors Association went through this huge lawsuit and big settlement saying that everything's negotiable. Remember one thing, it's negotiable for you too. You're a part of that negotiation. If you know your worth, go for your worth. It's really important stuff. But that always good to hear from you. Let's see, Christine B. How can you be successful when you don't do cold calling? I'm trying to say, I did not become an agent. Do that. I can't stand when people cold call me. Okay, fair enough answer. You know what? I don't really like when people cold call me, but I guess I would say you got to define what a cold call is. If I said call this person, I think they're going to be selling, would you actually make the call? Because the guy that does will get that business. It may or may not resonate very well with you, but there are certain things but Christine, if you do want to open up and chat, um, we could definitely talk about that. Who here is successful and doesn't cold call? Christina had a very specific question. Okay, Paula and Terry and Paul. We'll go in that order. Paul, I want to hear from you. Not Paul, who I'll refer to as Parker. Paul La, okay, who's like, when you say Paul, but okay, go ahead,
I
Paula.
know, I
So,
know. Good morning.
so this is Christina B had a very serious question. It's one that a lot of people wouldn't have the courage to ask, and that is, how are you going to be successful if you don't like cold calling, you hate doing it. How do you do it, Paula? Because you're making money.
I hate cold calling also.
Okay.
I don't do it. I call my database, and if I really think that they have one of those jobs where they can't answer the phone, I hate to intrude. So I'll text. And, I was encouraged to really reach out to the database. I don't do it, but I got a new listing this week.
Good. Oh, you
And
got it. Good. Now the story completes itself here.
right. And when I put people in my phone, I tag them. So it's very important to keep organized. And I'll also do that in my CRM. don't use my CRM enough, but I use my phone. So I will tag them as, say, a builder. So this is a buildable like development piece. So I sent it out to everybody in my phone that was a builder. Copy paste, copy paste. You make one text and send it to everybody. And I got 3 really good offers for this lady already. And she's like, "Whoa, I just left your office." I said, "I don't wait. I work very fast." So you want to impress people that way. But the cold calling, I hate it. Yes, too. I call my database. I'll text my database. I try to keep in touch with people, especially for like silly little things. We're going to have an Easter egg hunt. So we'll send that out as a text and an email saying, if you know anybody that would appreciate this event, we're sponsoring it. Just to stay in touch with your database, because that's the hardest part.
Before I get to Terry and Parker here, I want to throw an idea out to you, Christine, regarding the cold calling. Here's something that will help you along. And Dana, is Dana here? Dana is not here, and and Mandy. So Dana and Mandy are partners. They're coaching clients of mine. One thing that I did was I went in and sat with them because neither of them wanted to cold call. Here's a unique concept. Have you ever received a cold call from 2 people at the same time? I bet you haven't. I bet you haven't. Because this is what it is. You're used to a lousy product being sold by a schmuck who doesn't know anything, who's trying to convince you to part with your money. You've never gotten a call from 2 people who will say, "Hey, Lavette, this is Ed and Paul calling you this morning." And Paul would say, "Hey, Lavette." Lavette's now confused. Okay, this must be a personal call. It's certainly going to give us that crucial few seconds. And you've got the peer support of the call. They made these calls together. One of the things at my direction, they went to a parade that they sponsored for the Boys and Girls Club. They picked up some leads. They found out somebody was in the neighborhood and wanted to probably sell. And together we sat and they did exactly the script that we made for that specific person. And guess what? They got the meeting. It's a $1.5 million house. And she said, "Well, I'm moving up north." Now, when I thought, "Oh, up north, great. We'll call Terry or Paul or Paula or somebody. Who should we call?" Up north is Boynton Beach. Boynton Beach is not north. Boynton Beach, just to give you a perspective on that, It's about a 20-minute drive. It's certainly within our territory. So had they not asked those few crucial questions, they wouldn't have gotten do this. Also, your office discourages you from doing cold calling. Okay, you'll have to make a choice for yourself. You'll have to make it, and you really, once again, have to define what cold calling is. If it's somebody that Paul says I should give a call to, or Paula, sorry, Parker or Paula, if it's somebody like that, is that a cold call? Is it picking up the telephone book and just dialing random people you've never met? What exactly is a cold call? Because for God's sakes, if we're going to make a living, we got to find some way to consistently connect with new people. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. I'm sorry about that. We do want to focus on this. Let me just pick on two more, Terry and then Parker. Terry.
Um, I do as many events as I can think of, and that doesn't have to be a big deal. Now that the weather is nicer, I'm going to start buying coffee every Wednesday from 2 to 3 at my local patisserie. I got into 2 townhouses and pitched a couple of co-ops last summer and fall because of doing this. I know that seems random. It's 40, 50, $60 for an hour, but you are in people's faces, shaking their hands and doing the guerrilla marketing that is people will go, oh, nobody's done this before. And because they're neighbors with you, they want to engage. Look, in New York City, real estate's a contact sport. Either you got a good deal or you paid too much, and either one of those are bragging rights, and people want to talk to you about it. So it's a great way to meet people. Now, I'm also engaging in a couple of I work with a financial advisor who wants to do an evening of cocktails and finger food with high net worth people in Brownstone, Brooklyn, and asked me to, he's a financial advisor. He asked me to come in as the real estate person. Boo and yeah, I'm going to be there. Do those things. I make a lot of phone calls. Edmund calls it the hour of power, as we know from Tom Ferry stuff. That's not cold calling. That is being in touch with your sphere of influence. Maybe you throw a few new people in there that have come to your open houses or have reached out to you or whatever. But I don't like doing cold calling either. So this is what I do.
So, Alicia, I saw you parked. If you want to chime in, you don't have to, no pressure here. But if you don't mind unmuting and taking the video on, uh,
Hey,
hey, so
how
Alicia,
are you? Yes,
this,
I am parked.
okay, good. So Terry's the guy that got it started. You want to just chime in on the whole coffee thing?
Yes. Oh, so yes, I got that idea from you, Terry. And so I went last week to one of our local coffee shops and it was crazy successful. Sat there for like an hour. I spent like $100 and everyone was I mean, I have to be honest, I have to be better about capturing the leads, but the people made my day because everyone was so happy that I bought them coffee. And one woman came up and she's like, I was having a terrible day. And she's like, it was so nice that you are paying for coffee. And, I got her name and just, I have to say that was one of the best things. So now I will be doing that once a week.
Amazing.
And I got another friend who is a personal trainer who is probably going to join me.
Great. Even
See?
better.
So yes.
Even better.
So
Yeah.
thank you, Terry.
Even
welcome.
better. And it brings me just a quick digress just very, very quickly on this. When I was living in New York, this is probably 15 years ago, I got into a cab. It was a rainy day. The cab driver was driving a little erratically and he was in an obviously crappy mood. And I started talking to him and he said, the guy before me stiffed me. He ran out and he kept my $10. And I said, oh, I'm sorry that happened. He goes, you don't understand. This happens to me all the time. It's just me. He honestly felt as though he was born under a black rain cloud. So we got to my destination, and it must have been with tip probably $12. I gave him $20. And I said, now the loss is not nearly that bad. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to go out. I want you to buy the day's papers, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, New York Post, whatever papers that you want. And in the morning, when you start the job, I want you to turn around, wish the person good morning, and say, would you like one of today's newspapers? He said, well, they're going to keep the paper. I'm like, obviously, you're not going to take a crumbled paper back. He couldn't get it. I said, your tips are going to go up. I didn't think much of it. A year later, I get into the car. I get into a taxi. Cab driver turns around and says, good morning, sir. Would you like today's newspaper? I said, I told you that. I told you that. That was me. He stopped, put it in park, turned around. He goes, you don't understand. Everything turned around. He was making money. He was doing this. He was just so shocked at he learned the law of reciprocity. And to me,
Oh,
it was the best $20 I could have ever spent. It really was because that little thing really truly changed someone's time in life. I've heard of a few people doing something similar with this. So what do you get out of that? A, Alicia, you have the joy of actually enlightening someone's day. Well, let's face it, that doesn't pay the rent, but that does make you a better agent. It does put you in a position to really embrace this and do it more. Now, you're right. We discussed this in our private sessions. You've got to find a way to capture those leads. It's more than just having a good feeling. We got to find a way to make that sing. And if Christina B wants to talk about that at some point, that's something for you to consider. Very few people get annoyed at you for buying a cup of coffee. There are some guys that might hit on you or something, which I'd worry about, which is why I like Alicia being with some friends. But Paula, go ahead.
yeah, the one thing I was always taught from another trainer years ago was to bring something on a listing appointment. So I bring cake. And I've learned not to bring a big piece of cake. You know, this apple strudel from the Greek bakery down the street is wonderful. But if you have three sellers in front of you, it's sometimes they don't have silverware to cut it up or away. So I bring these little pastry type empanada things. They're delicious, so they can split them up. But if you bring something to them, they sort of feel like, oh, I have to give her my signature. That's what I want. I want the signature. You keep the cake, and sometimes they'll ask you to do coffee or whatever. But it's that law of reciprocity that really, it's like a home run. It always was.
100%. Oh, hold on. What Greg is holding up something, but it's blurry. Greg, what were you trying to show Paula? You got to unmute there, Greg. Yeah.
Either at the coffee or the listing appointment right now, anyway. Is it still blurry? Girl
Are
Scout
those Girl
Girl
cookies.
Scout
Scout
cookies?
cookies.
Oh my
Everybody
God.
loves Girl Scout cookies.
They're like crack. It's
It-
amazing.
and he's got thin mints too. You notice that, Terry?
Yes. Oh
He's
my
got
God.
the thin mints. That is totally crack, man. That's oh wow. I'm gonna run in and get another shot of
If you like
Manjaro right now.
thin mints
And
in a
I put
little
a
shaker, you can get thin mints in a little shaker container to put on stuff from Amazon. It's look at Terry's face.
Yeah.
No.
I'm always on a diet, and that little bit of sweetness helps me get over, the cravings. So you get this thin mints, Girl Scout thin mints on Amazon.
Okay. So for the
You're
my
newcomers,
welcome.
goodness.
we'll help you sell real estate. We'll tell you about dieting. We really are just a full service thing here.
So, Paula, you can put that on your salad, right?
Or
If you
ice cream.
want. Ice cream, yogurt.
Okay, reeling it back in, Paul, Parker, was there any, were you going to chime in?
I have three comments. Number
Please.
one is, depending on how old you are, the box of Girl Scout cookies has shrunk by at least 33% over the last 5 years for
Yes,
the same
and gone
price.
up in price at the same
Correct.
time.
But it's a good cause. That's number one. Number two is, um, Edmund, the idea that you gave to that taxi cab driver, it was reciprocal for both ways. One is you were like, that is like a super mitzvah what you did. Like really, and it like changed the guy's life. And it was really just making a suggestion for him to spend $3 a day. And if I drove a cab, I would do the same thing. And then the third thing is we just brought on two people on our team to really focus on cold calling. And like, I'm not a pro at it. I've made one cold call in 18 years. So I am not the cold call guy. I am the same as what Terry does is, events and schmoozing and coffees and lunches and dinners and, all that stuff. But we're really trying to, get this pillar that definitely can be profitable, going well.
And Paul, again, if I'm going too far, don't just shut me up. Can you say how many sides and what your sales volume was in 2024?
I don't even know how many. I think we did 51 sides and about 60 million in sales.
Okay, so that's
Well, it doesn't make me happy, but it's fine.
no, well, because I know you've had much better years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Much better.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of you go, much better, 61 million. It is a lot of money. And it is, but Paul's one who's learned to ride the waves. And he's been a
Yeah.
very confident, very competent, very trustworthy guy. So,
Thank you.
Christine, you're looking for people that have made money without cold calling. There, I'm giving it to you. So, these are people that, and by the way, every one of these people, they return every call. They're always very nice. Because there is no magic. They know that they follow their methodology. Whether Christine, you're successful in I don't even know where your territory is in here, wherever you are, and Paul's successful on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. It has no. I mean, that's the idea behind this mastermind is to really try and get that information. Okay, the life cycle matrix. I want to take a look. Go ahead, Paul.
No, I'm good. I just got to run, guys.
Okay, good to see you. So the
Okay,
life
bye.
cycle matrix, that's in the workbook. You know, I'd like for you to actually stop and think through how many first-time home buyers did you get? How many family formation, meaning that, you know, there are kids coming into the family. We got new pregnancy, we got new kids coming home perhaps, or, you know, you've got the family formation is important. Peak earning years. These are oftentimes categories. Think this through. By the way, guys, feel free to challenge me. If I didn't add something, I'm man enough to be wrong here. So you could add to this and we will make the change. I mean, this is just for thinking. Pre-retirement, a lot of people are thinking about pre-retirement, so that's something. Retirement, and then perhaps some investment focus. Now, you could throw in other things like investors or renting, but that's not what I'm really trying to focus on here today. What I am trying to do is take a look at what life stage is going on. Then, and this is on page 4 or 5 of the workbook, what percentage of your business came through from that? What was the average transaction value? How well did it convert? And how is your follow-up effectiveness? Read these workbooks. It will challenge you. It will make you see, and in some cases, things will jump out of the page. And if you did very little business for it to, you know, maybe you didn't do that many deals. Maybe it wasn't 51 sides. At least from there, you could look at all this and say, okay, based on who's in my sphere, what more can be done? What more can be, you know, how, if it was to be the client that I was going to get, which ones seem to be the most likely to give me leads? And once again, many people have said to me that it was an eye-opening experience. It kind of jumped off the page. And then we leaned in on a marketing campaign specific for that sector. Greg, go ahead.
So I don't want to pick on anybody, but I heard something that took me a little by surprise. Wouldn't you agree, Edmund, that it's important to know these numbers, to keep them in front of you as you go through the year? I mean, how many sides have you done? Where's that business coming from? So that you can zero in on it?
I think what we're doing right now should contribute to your blueprint of what you're going to do for next quarter. I mean, look, Greg, you're a very analytical guy, as am I. I mean, you really do look at those numbers. A lot of folks aren't. Personally, I think to know where the business has actually come from, again, history does repeat itself. And you know, when I do get depressed, oh, it's usually a rainy day, the phone's not ringing. Worse, my competitor just sold two $11 million homes in my farm. And he's a jerk, okay? And he smells. Horrible guy. Okay, we'll go on with all that. But on the worst day, but then you remind yourself that there is, you know, there is a rise, a second act. There is a curtain does rise on a second act for all of this. And I think that's what we get out of these quarters is that you can really stop and think through what's working and more importantly, what failed. I talk a lot about failure in here, and a lot of you are somewhat surprised. I'm kind of surprised you're surprised. Again, let's find a way to avoid that failure. The only way you could do it is by embracing it. We all do. I'm just, again, have the guts to actually admit it. So have the admit. The strategic planning template, it's also in this. I'm a farmer. I try and coach a lot of you to become farmers. Paula, you always say you wished you lived in a gated community or some type of development. You can make that area. We're working on that with Paula right now, creating a farm out of a specific area in Queens, New York. You know, how do we actually make that into a farm? What strategies can you put in place? And again, that's not just my throwing it out there. If you guys want to throw ideas out, that's where we everything we build here comes from you guys.
One
So
of the things I'll put in the WhatsApp group that is a picture of my boards because I'm very much, you know, like a visual type person in my face, posted queen. Any listing appointments that I go on, I try to track for 50 appointments during the year, The board is filling up. Let's see, what did I get? What did I not get? Out of the appointments I went on. I don't put addresses. I only put like first names because I got competitors. And then I have another board that has my listings, my contracts, and the closed. And I don't even have a closed sale yet this year. We're about to close on two big ones soon. But it keeps me focused because I look at the board and I say, holy shit, it's March 19th. And I've only gone on really 6 listing appointments this year. That's terrible. I like to average one a week and it's not happening, but
Okay, well, so what
that keeps
average
me on
is that?
track.
It's there's 12 weeks to the quarter, and so you're at half.
Right, and I'm not doing enough. I know I'm not doing enough listing appointments, but there's also, a lack of inventory and people are not really getting on the market, all of that. But I don't blame myself. Like I say, I beat myself up. I just try to do better. I try to get more on my boards because my boards will keep me focused. And I see people with like so much, on these boards. I try to streamline it and keep it simple.
Sure. Let me just pause for 1 second. I always like to throw in a new tech that all of you guys really ought to know. Let me see a show of hands. Anybody use Gmail? Anyone have a Google account? A few of
I
you do.
have it, but I use another one, Outlook.
Okay, well, good news. You got this already, and I believe it's for free. I pay for a more robust version so that that Bogan Homes address is going to Google. But I want to share with you something, and I think intuitively you guys are going to love it. This is Google AI Studio. You can get to it by going to aistudio.google.com. And there is something in it now that they call image editing. And one thing that I found with image editing, oops, that doesn't help. You could actually upload an image that has a watermark in it. And I could say there is a watermark with the word copyright that I want you to remove. And then you could actually run this. Now, of course, that you're in the meeting with me, it's not going to work, but I think it probably will. And there we go. The image is actually now created without the watermark. Photographers should be really freaking out about this because if you look at it, all these different images that you might have had taken, and they're like, oh, before we give it to you, you're going to see this. It's going to have that watermark thing in it. I'm not saying to go cheat out the photographers. I don't want to screw over anybody. What I am saying is that this tool is really just quite remarkable. One of the things that I made, most of you are used to seeing a lot of my social media with a picture of me on the lower right-hand side, and Daniel's worked really hard on that. And I told my team that we have a new team member. It's Cookie Monster. So I removed myself and I put the Cookie Monster in there. And again, that was done. I just I took the image, I said, remove the guy and put in Cookie Monster. And that's what this thing had done. So I just throw these things out there. Again, just little tidbits of tools. Most of you like the Cookie Monster. If you don't, please don't tell me. I may very well throw you out of the network. It's just one of those things. It's kind of against the law to dislike Cookie Monster. Um, One other side note about Cookie Monster, if you take a look, somebody put on YouTube the Keebler elves, who, everyone know the Keebler elves? They're a bunch of elves that live in a tree and they make Keebler cookies. Okay, well, they were attacked by the Cookie Monster. It was a nasty, bloody war that they were fighting the monster from stealing their cookies. Anyway, AI is delivering all kinds of weird stuff. This is just one of them. I throw that out to all of you as you do your posts, and we will be doing meetings about more social media um, and more stuff like that. I want you to embrace it and take a look at the different tech that's available. So that's the Google Studio. It's a great thing. Daniel, if you could pull up the URL, you look it up and just put it in the chat. If you can't find it, let me know and I'll put it back there. Okay, that was my short digression. I want everyone to really read through the workbook. I think it's really important because it just really helps get this driven home. Daniel, what's the topic on Friday? We have another meeting on
We don't have a topic yet.
we have a topic.
Yeah.
We don't have a topic?
No.
We've got the topic's going to be announced to all of you shortly, but we do have a meeting on Friday at noon. I don't know what actually happened with that, but we will get that out to you. It's going to be you know, pretty exciting. Giving those Californians a break as well. Wants, needs, and brags. And that's the time in the meeting to get to find out what you want, what you need, and what you want to brag about. Uh, my daughter's home. I'll brag about that, my little one. So that makes me extremely happy. See, it could be as simple as that. Who's got something to brag about? Maybe Christine B. or Aubrey or Eddie Glantz. Eddie, you've been silent for a long time. What's up with you?
How did I know you'd come my way this
Well, you know
morning?
what? No, because I always love the sound of Yosemite Sam. It's kind of fun to have you here. You got that whole Yosemite Sam thing going.
I hear you. Yeah, and actually, I do have a couple of things, and it's more of a a brag on not on me, but just I'm thankful for the next 3 weeks or so. I've got about 3.3 million in closings coming up, so I'm thankful for that. So we'll leave it at that.
Okay. Well, it's good to see you. I think we might have sent an email. I would love to get a one-on-one with you at some point.
Oh yeah, I did get that. Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Okay, please. That would be great. Okay. Anyone else wants, needs, or brags? Always good to take stock in it. You could tell about a listing you have. You could ask a private question here. You got all these minds that are about to answer you. Look at all these brains. Evangela? Evangela's in from Connecticut? No?
Good
Okay.
morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
No, I have no brags, but I'm happy to be back.
Well, we're happy to have you.
And I'll just reintroduce myself. I'm from Connecticut. I've been an agent since 1998. I've been basically here in Connecticut with a little stint I did in Florida, which is where I knew Edmund from. So I do Fairfield County mostly. I am with Douglas Elliman. And that's it. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for coming. We love having you here, and it's great. And again, Evangela is a top professional. Has done some great, great work. Evangela, just so you know, if I can make an addendum to what I had just said, I spoke to Jeff Stanton, the head of education. I'm going to be featured in next month's training that they have for Douglas Elliman. I'm going to be doing a whole thing on AI and the realtor. And I think he told me 700 people are going to go or 500 or something. So it's
Oh, and
on Zoom. On Zoom. It's going to be a thing. So I'm working out the agenda now for that. So apparently,
amazing. That's amazing.
fingers
Yeah, AI
crossed.
is amazing. Oh my God, AI is just so this is part of the reason I wanted to come back because Edmund is always so good with what's new, like what to do, what's new. And I thought, if you don't keep changing, I hate the word pivot, but if you don't keep changing and growing, you get stagnant. And so I thought I needed to come back and just, revamp myself a little bit. And so Edmund's like the perfect platform for that. So I'm happy to be here.
See that? I'm a platform, guys. More than a man. I'm a fucking platform. Okay.
No, you're a man. I've known
I'm a man. I'm a manly
I knew
platform.
Edmund way back when. No.
So yeah, no, I
Yeah.
love that. Let's see if I get some hearts here. Oh, yeah, I love that. Okay. So okay, guys. Eitan, did you have something to chime in with? My good friend in Portugal?
So I have a need.
Okay, tell us about your need.
So I have moved my business a little bit into art, and I need an in into Christie's. So if anybody has a contact at Christie's, I have a piece of art that can go for many, many millions.
Hey, Todd,
And
reach out to me. My kid's mom is big at Christie's.
you got it, man.
All right.
I would.
Awesome.
That's good. You see how this works, guys? It gets better and better. Isn't that
That's
worth?
great.
Yeah. Eitan and Terry will lead the group hug at the end. Okay.
And I want to say something to Christine B. Christine B, do not be discouraged if you don't have any money to do the things that Paul and I were talking about. Just be out there. Sit on the bench in the park and wave at people and say, hey, you have to be out there to press the palms. Yes, it does cost a little money to buy coffee for people or to throw an event or something like that, but just be out there. You're awesome. You will get people's attention.
Sure. And there's something about Christine and Eitan and Terry and all of you that I can't compete with. it's up to you to really figure out what that is. There's something that's unique about you where if we went head to head on something, I would lose. And that goes from the office of the president on down. There's something about that really, and you've got to find out what that is and who that's for and make competition irrelevant. Christine's right. Cold calling is not no, yeah, nobody wants to bother anyone. You want to be too nice about it. I get it. It's not like that much fun. But if you can find a way to A, make it fun, that's why I like cold calling with other people. And it's effective, by the way. That's the other thing. And B, really redefine what cold calling is. If you view it as an interruption, I hear from my clients all the time, oh, I don't want to bother them. Well, of course you don't want to bother them. If you see yourself as a bother, then this is going to be the worst thing ever. Who wants to be a bother? When my mom died, I had no less than five realtors or real estate agents, it was Manhattan, call me off the obituary. Five. And I found it to be the most obnoxious thing ever. Now, on the other hand, now that I'm a realtor, years later, I became a realtor. I understand why they did it. Let's face it, you want to make the money. Somebody's going to get the sale. It might as well be you. Um, but I think part of this is really to come up with a strategy and structure to help you win. Okay, who else? Any other wants, needs, or brags that we could get from you guys? No? Maybe? Kind of, sort of? Okay. Eitan, I'm going to be catching up with you in about 7 or 8 minutes. I just need to go do something. Uh, Daniel, thank you for all you do. And Christine, if you want to catch up with me, please email Daniel at Bogan Homes and we can meet one on one. That goes for any one of you, by the way. If we haven't gotten together in some time, I really, really do want to hear about it. If we could schedule a quick 10 or 15 minutes to chat, I'd love to hear what's going on with your business. Jonathan, that goes for you. Evangela, I know that we met quickly while we were outside and driving, but you're always such a wonderful ball of energy and fun to speak to anyway. So I'd love to catch up with you one on one on Zoom. Again, Daniel at Bogan Homes can get that done. And Terry, you ready?
Oh, yeah.
When he says that, I just want to remind everyone we got another meeting coming up on Friday. That's this Friday, 12 noon. God knows why we don't have the topic here. You should be annoyed at me because I'm annoyed at me for not having that topic here. But we do have one. We are going to have it. We're giving the Californians a break, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. And all of this makes me want to say, it sure is good seeing all of you today. I really had a great time, and I look forward to seeing all of you on Friday for another exciting episode of
Ray
Lost
Nation.
the audio for a second, but you get the point. Guys, thank you so much. If anybody
Have a
wants
great
to
week, guys.
stick around a little
Thank
bit, I
you.
could share with you a
Thank
couple.
you, Ed.
Thank you, Eitan. I'll see you in 7 minutes.
Hey, Tom,
Um,
give me a call. Okay, bye.
You got it, Terry.
okay, that's good stuff. Anybody left? Okay, so we've got Greg, got Christine. Christine, are you gonna keep hiding from me or are you gonna unmute video yourself here? Like nobody's left here. Hedeka's here. Okay, Christine's still hiding. That's fine. Greg, you want to I just want to share one thing with you. I made, what is it? Sora is the answer to what is it? It's Sora is a video AI that's owned by OpenAI. Have you seen it?
I have not.
Okay. So one of the things that I did was, oh shoot. Um, I created, if I could find this thing, I created a series of videos uh, with it about, basically I made any story that actually came to mind. And there was one that I thought of that was about a rather large African American gentleman who grew up poor but became wealthy. And this is what I came up with here. I'll just show you this whole thing here. No, that wasn't it. Nope, that wasn't it either. See, I put it together and I'm just not sure where this thing is here. Just give me one more minute. Uh, oh, you know what? I got it over here, I think. Okay, here we go.
Up, Marcus learned to hustle early. Streets tough, pockets empty, dreams bigger than his block. But Marcus had vision. He flipped adversity into ambition, turning spare change into crypto fortunes. Now he's a billionaire and proving the impossible possible. Yeah, Marcus smiles wide and gives generously. But cross his family or question his grind. Let's just say he won't hesitate to remind anyone he's still got a can of whoop ass ready to crack open anytime.
Okay. So that was written by ChatGPT. Okay. The audio was by 11 Labs, which is an AI. The video was Sora, which is OpenAI. And the editing was through the Captions app. So where was I in that? I wanted to just prove that I can make a simple story. I could make a simple story using AI. Now, again, I'm not a writer and I'm not, but I was able to make an actual story. Go ahead, Greg.
I don't have anything to say other
Oh,
than I'm amazed.
yeah.
That's pretty phenomenal. And
None of it was
probably
real.
I'm gonna spend too much time playing with it.
None of it was real. And you got to now think, why do I do this stuff? Because every time I make like a little crazy story, again, I said, let's get I thought of Biggie Smalls. I was listening to his music. I love Biggie Smalls. And I said, let's increase the narrative as if Biggie had an alternate life. Let's make him a crypto millionaire. Let's put him in there and let's get him out. And it really was, um, it really was something that I was able to generate. So if you could think of a narrative and you could think of a story, you could start to make these little tidbits. For example, let's say you need a aerial view of Charleston, South Carolina at night, and you don't have it. You could actually generate something like that in Sora. And I would encourage you to check with your local realtor board to see if that's any violation. I don't think it is. I don't think you're misrepresenting the property at that point. If you say show a great shot of South Carolina at night of Charleston, and then you dissolve into a listing of your own, provided that that's not lying about it. So there's all these tools, and I am going to try and increase. I'm going to be making special meetings for this because I know you've always historically had an interest in it, and I think it would be pretty good. So
Yeah, sounds cool to me.
good. Okay. Well, good to see you. Good to see you, Daniel. Good to see you, Christine, silent and mysterious Christine, wherever you are. I don't know where you are, but if you have time, definitely reach out. I would love to catch up with you by phone, and I hope you enjoyed the meeting. And Greg, I will see you hopefully Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're on the calendar for next week.
Perfect.
Daniel,
Okay. Good to see
thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Talk to you soon.
Yeah, bye.